God, that must have been an echoey mess because I forgot. That I left one of the audio feeds on, so that's a rough start, isn't it? Sorry for that. Hope you guys are doing good. Thank you all for joining me here on tonight's edition of the Paranormal Portal. God, it's Wednesday. It's hump day, and hope it's treating you well for whatever it's worth. Sorry, I'm just getting situated here. It's been a heck of a journey these last several days, but it's been fine. Just been busy with a lot of things, but God, we got a lot to get to tonight, of course. As always, I do my best to pack in a fun, entertaining, lively, energetic show. And by God, I endeavor to do that every time. I think I need more volume. Every time. Am I loud enough? Just anybody out there? Are you hearing me okay, or is it a little quiet? Is it? How's my vocals sound? The radar is not on. Thank you, Rachel. It's definitely a Wednesday. I tell you what. Oh, it's the 15th already. Wow. We're already 15 days into this new year. Isn't that crazy? Let's get the radar on so we can see just what's going on around us. This is like the Paranormal Portal weather. I'm using my mouse, and it's right down here. That's like the weather radar here on the Paranormal Portal. Yeah, it's almost Christmas again, Vince. You got it. You got it loud and clear. Thank you, Aussie. I appreciate that. Sound okay. Not rough or too loud. Good. Thank you, Rachel. John Stevenson, you said you can hear me. Okay, it just sounded real quiet in my ears. And I don't know, just sometimes, I mean, there's always ghosts in the machine, so to speak. But I just hope that the audio is coming through good and you guys are hearing me okay. It looks like everything's working. Even the chat function on my screen is working correctly. I didn't have to load in just the YouTube chat. So now we can see if anybody's chatting to us from Rumble. And remember, we're now streaming live on X as well as Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube. So we're haven't expanded yet into Facebook. That's coming. You sound like a dying cat. Really, dude. What a lovely thing to say. That's okay. You can make jokes here. I do it all. It's all black here and silent. What's going on, Karen? Why is it all black and silent? That sounds like one of my promotional images for the shows. But anyway, I hope everything's okay. Hope you're okay. I hope your screen's working and seeing us. Let me know if everything's okay, Karen. I don't know what it means. I did hit the thumbs up, however. Good job, Karen. Thank you. I don't know if you can hear me or not or what's going on, but it sounds like your interwebs are still being a little particular and odd. So I hope you guys get that straightened out. I know you're working on your internet connection, so hopefully it gets much better. So anyway, we got a lot to get to. Obviously, we're going to get to the news. Then we're going to get to a cool story I pulled up. I think it should be good, but I just want to say hello to you guys. Barbara Moore is here and Big D over on Rumble. I'm not sure who's over on X watching, but I did see it went live, so we are live on X. I don't know if that chat's going to come through to us here or not. There's a lot of X factors in this, folks. I don't really know always what I'm doing, but I know that I'm doing the best that I know how. And maybe that's not good. Still sucky internet. Calling tomorrow meant last week, but got busy with the unpacking. I'm being lazy this week. Well, you probably earned it, Karen. And I hope you're at least able to watch the show to some degree. But if it gets to be a pain, I don't know what to tell you. I wish everybody had really solid internet. Hell, I wish I had really solid internet. But sometimes even I don't. How you doing, Mickey G? Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. Nathan Nate is here. We're going to boogie on to the news. Ha ha ha. Yeah, it is kind of like boogie song, isn't it? It's like a disco throwback. Special thanks to Wes Germer for throwing that together for me. That was really cool. I've got a still picture now, Karen says. Well, it's not so important. I haven't moved that much. Maybe I should move more so you can tell. You can tell what's going on. But I hope it gets better quick. Hi, Brandy. Hello, Barbara Mora. She's over in YouTube's as well. But let's see who's here. Elaine Clifford is here. Mickey G is here. Brandy Copeland, as I said, Brandy is here. Nathan Nate. Karen Alberding, as we've been talking to Karen. And I'm scrolling, seeing who else is here. Rachel gets it right, of course. And as I stream, I'm trying to buy time here and keep from sounding like an idiot. It looks like John Stevenson is here. Good to see you, John. Thank you for coming in, brother. And I'm scrolling up. Just Insane. Awesome. And I did say hello to you, I think, a little bit ago. John Stevenson says he can hear me. Deborah Neighbors is here. How you doing, Deb? Good to see you. Phil Funk, I think, was the first one through the door again, so he gets the first through the door a prize, which is a thumbs up from me. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Phil. Vincent Sanchez is here. Good to see you, Vincent. Great to see you. Again, Aussie Tiger's here. He said he could hear me before, so we know he's here. Annie Manul is here. John Labella, Josh Casto. See, Josh, I'm doing my best to get the correct pronunciation of your name out there. Everybody calls him Josh Castro. And I got to admit, I did too. That R just kind of blends in there naturally. And I guess maybe it's because, everybody knows Castro, but not everybody knows Casto. And that must be it. But I'm doing my best to correct that. Nathan Nate Prentice back, folks. Yeah, I sure am. And I think I'm just scrolling up here to see if I've missed anybody that's here currently. And then I'll scroll back down to the more recent chats. But it looks like I got everybody that said hello so far. Henry Dong's here. Good to see you, Henry. Hope you're having a good night. Thanks for coming in and being a part of the journey, as always. Jem Gwyn's here. How you doing, Jem? Great to see you. Jem Gwyn's been a part of our family for a long, long time. It's great to see her show up, even to this day. She's been with me for years and years and years. So she's just a lovely soul, and it's good to see. I've done this show for years and years and years, and names come and go. And granted, there's a lot to pick from, and so it's just kind of the nature of the thing. But it's really neat to see some of those names pop up every once in a while again. It's like, oh, yeah. It's like getting together with old friends and new friends. Ron the Sage is here. Good to see you, Ron. Popped in. So I think SoCal Squatcher popped in. Good to see you as well. I'll tell you what, I've been doing this show for a long time now, and it's largely a one-man show. I've got a lot of things to handle and a lot of things to deal with, and it gets double tough sometimes. I mean, I've worked really back-breaking jobs in my past, many of them, and I'm not saying that I'm slaving myself or anything here, but it does take a load off of me, and I've got to tell you, one of the things that really helps me continue to find pep and to continue to focus and to continue to handle, the stress and strain, because it is a lot of pressure. I'm trying to appeal to a lot of people in doing these shows, and hopefully people will enjoy it and have a good time. It's my focus and goal is to entertain people and to make it worth their while to come in, but it's also a lot of pressure. And, I juggle what I can, and I do my best to keep up, but I found this, and I've got to tell you, this has really been a game changer for me. Now, this is Magic Mind, and you guys might have heard me talk about this before, but I'm here to tell you this is a product I absolutely believe in. I love this stuff, and I know just past New Year's, we're all thinking about better health and better well-being and stuff, and honestly, this has been a big part of my personal journey in trying to get in better health, because I feel like I'm more focused, and I feel like it reduces my stress. It gives me clarity. It really helps me to become much more productive, and keeps me pushing forward in a lot of times when I wouldn't be able to. And I realize, it is it's well made. It's made from great stuff. This company has done an amazing job of putting together a whole blend of incredible ingredients that are they're third party tested. They are responsibly harvested, and there's no frankenfood in this thing. It's all very well put together, and Magic Mind is doing something really cool as well. I know that I'm a slow waker. I really am. I have a hard time getting going in the morning and getting engaged in the things that I have to do. But I've got to tell you, this has been a big help for me personally. And they've also introduced a nighttime shot as well for those people that just can't shut off. They just can't get into their sleep mode. And that one sounds absolutely exciting. And they're doing it all. There's basically 5 pillars of good health: sleep, diet, exercise, stress management, and exogenous compounds. And exogenous compounds are things that you put into yourself. They're from outside of you, and you got to make sure that what you're putting in is good. And this is one of those things that I can take and feel good about and notice in very quick order that it is such a help. It's incredible. I know some people have compared it to like a natural Adderall, and I don't know because I've never, of course, used Adderall, but I got to tell you, it's a game changer for me personally, and they are doing it right. I am absolutely thrilled to be helping to represent this product because honestly, it's something I believe in, and I want you guys to check it out. And right now they're giving us a pretty exceptional offer. And if you go to www.magicmind.com /portaljan, I think I meant to do a slash there. I did not do a slash. I better do a slash because it's portaljan, Jan as in January. And I'm going to fix that right now because, I did. Yeah, it's there. It's supposed to be there. Isn't it there? It's not showing up. It's the font I chose, but it's supposed to be a slash portaljan. And that is the website where you can save. Let me look. I got to look at the numbers again, but it's, you can get 45% off the Magic Mind bundle with my link. So please, guys, check it out. It goes a long way in your own personal journey. I know it's going to help you. Also, guys, they do 100% money back for 100 days after you buy it. So if you're not happy with what you bought, they will refund your money, no questions asked, for 100 days. So it's hardly a gamble. Again, please try it. Please check it out. You're supporting the show by doing so, of course, but I wouldn't represent something on here on my shows if I didn't firmly believe in it. So check out magicmind.com /portaljan. I'm going to have to change that font after the shows because apparently that font does not include the slash, which it should. So it's www.magicmind.com /portaljan. Special thank you to Magic Mind for, first of all, introducing the product to me, first and foremost. But second of all, letting me be a voice to promote it because it is an amazing product. So all I can say is they come in these little shots. You just give it a pull, you give it a mix, and then you give it a drink. And it's really great tasting stuff too. And I love it. I'm on the road to more focus and clarity as we speak, folks. That's how it works here in the portal. So check out magicmind.com, www.magicmind.com /portaljan, January, portaljan, one word. But remember the slash. It's not on your screen, but please do. All right, so that's that. All I can do is just tell you, hey, embrace a new year. Get to a better you, and maybe this will help you. It's helped me a ton. So all I can say is give it a shot. Is it approved by the FDA? Yes, it is, as a matter of fact, Mr. Westgermer. All right, folks, we are going to dive into the news because, well, hell, you got to know what's going on in the world. And by God, I'm going to tell you. So buckle up, folks. Let's get to the news. Hi, K-Love. Good to see you, by the way. Good to see you, West and K-Love both popped in. Wizard Moon popped in, too, as did Jason Finch. Well, this is a party up in here now. I mean, come on. I just think it's lovely. It's good to see you, K-Love. I missed you. And Wes, I miss you, too. Just, not leaving you out there. But, all right, let's get to the news and find out just what the hell's going on in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the news. Hey, Jake. Also, love me some Sasquatch Chronicles. Hey, yeah, Jason. Jason's spreading it deep tonight. Good job, Jason. You got some good taste, brother. Good to see you, Jake, as well. Steel City Stackers in here. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Anybody I missed, just say hello to me in the chat, and I'll do my best to see it. There's no guarantees, though. There's no guarantees, but I'm going to do my best to see it. All right, folks, we got a bunch more to get to. We are going to get to the news now. As you know, this is the news desk for the Paranormal Portal. And this is the spot where I pulled up some news stories to read to you guys. And hopefully you find it interesting. Some of it's paranormal. Some of it's just weird. Some of it's funny. Some of it's bizarre. And some of it's just interesting, I think. And since I'm the guy pulling the stuff, you're going to get what I think. So let's get to this now. Throughout the course of the journey of the show, the course of the journey, the course throughout the journey of the show, the course of the show, we utilize a lot of different sites. And these are phenomenal sites. And I just want you to please support these sites. Please visit them. Please give them your love because they're exceptionally well done. They do a hell of a job, and they've been so incredible with their coverage and what they're up to. And all I can tell you is, my God, please support them. Keep them online. We need them here on the portal. I need them. And if you like the show, you need them too, because otherwise you'd be looking at me just staring into a camera. Trying to be interesting. So I guess we'll get to the first one. What the hell happened? I lost some windows here or something. No, they're there. Okay. They just somehow got minimized. I didn't even know I did that. Right. We're going to get to the news now. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to give up. Sorry, Karen. We love you. Just know these will be here on demand. You can watch them when you can. Give our love to Neil as well. And hope you're doing great. And let's get to the news. All right, this is first article is coming from the incredible news site that we utilize most of the time here on the show, and this is called unexplained-mysteries.com. It's so well done, such an incredible site. Please support them. This is it, Space and Astronomy World First, as sound and video of meteorite strike are recorded on CCTV. Well, there you go. And that's where the meteor hit right there. And obviously it was a little one, but God... Look at that spread. That thing hit with some power. So let's see what's going on. Security camera footage captured the moment a meteorite slammed into the ground outside a home in Canada. For the first time, a CCTV camera has recorded the precise moment that a meteorite struck the surface of the Earth, capturing not only footage of the impact, but also the sound of it as well. I mean, it's like a space booger, wasn't it? I mean, really, because if it was really a meteorite, that would be a hole in the rock. That wouldn't just have just powdered out on it. But anyway, the strike occurred in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island back in 2024 of July, and was first discovered when the homeowners found debris on the garden path after they returned from walking their dogs. We noticed the walkway was just completely covered with black debris, rock, sand, and we had no idea what it was, so we just started cleaning up, said homeowner Joe Valiadum, I guess. It wasn't until their neighbor told them that they had heard a loud noise outside their house while they had been away that they decided to check their CCTV camera footage just to see if it picked anything up. And incredibly, it had recorded the exact moment that the meteorite had slammed into their garden. What's more, Validium himself had been standing in that exact spot just moments before it hit. I don't know if that's true, because he said he got back from walking the dog. It's like, what is their walk? Like to the end of the driveway and back? I'm sure they went out a ways. But anyway, it sounds sensational. We noticed that I stopped at a certain spot. Then about 2 minutes later, there was a massive crash that landed exactly where I had stopped, he said. I was 2 minutes away from killing me. Absolutely. It landed right between my legs where I was standing. According to Chris Hurd, curator of the University of Alberta's Meteorite collection, the object that fell to Earth in this particular case was a chondrite meteorite. I'm not sure what chondrite is, but it sounds interesting. As the first and only meteorite from the province of PEI, Prince Edward Island, the Charlottetown meteorite sure announced its arrival in a spectacular way, he said. No other meteorite fall has been documented like this, complete with sound, and it adds a whole new dimension to the natural history of the island. They might be making a big deal out of this. You can check out the footage of the meteorite, your strike, for yourself in the video below. Well, by God, let's do that. Here we go. God, don't let there be music.
On an ordinary midsummer day on Prince Edward Island, something extraordinary. From this angle, it's hard to tell. Did that tumble from the house or the sky? Whatever it was, homeowner Joe Validum says it missed hitting him by about 2 minutes.
It landed right between my legs where I was standing.
See, he's kind of taking a sensational route with this, because obviously he was nowhere near where it landed. I mean, he might have been there before, but he wasn't there then. It's like, yeah, a car crash happened on a street that I cross an intersection on every once in a while. Were you right there? No, it was like 2 weeks. I crossed it 2 weeks ago. This doesn't mean you're in mortal danger at that point. You're okay, Joe. But it's still very cool. I did watch this video, and it goes on to say, hey, this is the first time we heard the sound of one hitting. And it's like, yeah, it sounds just like a rock hitting, or, something like that, or a piece of concrete that you chuck really hard and it kind of shatters. It's not really an exceptional sound. It's just like, oh, it hit the ground. So anyway, there's not a lot more to it than that. There's the impact mark. It came down. It probably could have killed him. If it had hit him. But in the video, I think they make the statement that it fell at like 200 miles per hour, which to me, for a rock, yeah, it would hurt. It could kill you, but it could just give you a big goose egg and a really bad mood for a few days. It could also kill you. I don't know. I'm not sure how big it was. It does look like it hammered the ground pretty good. It's hard to believe it was only going 200 miles an hour. But anyway, there it is. That's the meteorite falling, and you got to see it and hear it. I hope you feel like a better person because of it. I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but is it huge? Well, I guess because it was caught on camera. Usually they just find impact sites. So a frozen space booger. I almost put my life on the line saving 3 children from a blind man. Only by God's grace I'm here today. Were you there? No. It's like, yeah, he's making it sound like he just avoided death just by, like, I don't know. It was like he was in the area. Yeah, sure. I'm sure he's been in that area a bunch of times, but it's not like he just avoided the Reaper there. Yeah, it was good timing, a good time to go for the walk with the dogs, or unless this is the place he just stands for hours. I don't know. I don't understand it. But anyway, they're kind of bloating that a little bit. Anyway, there's the first article. I don't know. What do you think? It's interesting. I'll give it. It's interesting. Let's just say it's interesting, because I've never seen a meteorite hit the ground before. So we really didn't see it there either, because it was a bit obscured by that planter. But it's something. Now I can say I can add that to my bucket list. I've seen that happen. So, all right, here we go. This is kind of an informational article. This again is from unexplained-mysteries.com. They say obscure. They use the word obscure in this article. It comes from Creatures, Myths, and Legends. And I don't think any of these are really obscure for probably for most of you. You might be introduced to one or two of these that you never heard of before, but it's a list of 3 things. Let me know. I'm kind of curious if you're familiar with all of them. So let me know in the chat if you knew them all, or if you learned something new here. I don't know. I'm just, because it certainly could be topics for future shows if you guys want me to dig into any one of these, because you never heard about them before. But let's get into it. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com, ladies and gentlemen. And this article is 3 obscure cryptozoological creatures you may have never heard of. Well, you're preaching to the choir here. There's a scale model for how big that frog actually is supposed to have been by the witness. And that's kind of spooky if you'd see a frog that big. And it's bipedal. Well, let's get into it. Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster need no introduction, but have you ever heard of the Loveland Frog? For me, it was yes, I had, but let's continue. Stories of cryptozoological creatures, that is, creatures that are rumored to exist but that aren't officially recognized by science, can be found all across the world. While you will have heard of some of them, here are 3 others that you may be less familiar with. And that is this one, the Loveland frog. Also sometimes referred as as the Loveland frogman, sightings of this bizarre humanoid amphibian were first reported in Loveland, Ohio, back in 1955, when a businessman reported seeing a group of 3 frog-like creatures standing next to a bridge. Several other sightings followed, including one in 1972 involving a police officer who claimed to have seen the creature crossing a road. Descriptions of the creature vary, but most accounts suggest it stands approximately 4 feet tall, has leathery skin, and a frog-like head with glowing red eyes. No definitive evidence of his existence has ever been found. Yeah, because then it wouldn't be a cryptid. It wouldn't be cryptozoological then, right? If this is 4 feet, what is this? Is this Shaq or what's going on? Because that's a whole, that would make him about 8 feet tall or 7.5. What the hell? I think the head should probably be more like here. But anyway, it's a joke. I don't know. All right, well, let's go to the next one. This one is maybe a little less known. Maybe not. I'm curious how many of you knew of the frogman, the Loveland frogman. But this one is the Mokele-mbembe. Interestingly enough, it's supposed to be like a brontosaurus that exists in Africa. In the dense rainforest of the Congo River Basin, locals speak of a creature known as the Mokele-mbembe. I think that's the diverter of rivers is what that translates to, or something like that. A massive semi-aquatic beast that resembles an extinct sauropod dinosaur. Descriptions of the creature vary, but it is typically depicted as having a long neck and a small head. The name Mokele-mbembe roughly translates to one who stops the flow of rivers. Okay, well, there you go. Seemingly a reference to the alleged size of the creature. Some have suggested that Mokele-mbembe could be a relic from the dinosaur age, some sort of living fossil, though the likelihood of a population of such creatures surviving tens of millions of years without being discovered seems unlikely, to say the least. Well, see, but that's the thing. The natives of the area have known about this forever. It's not like hey, guess what? We got a Mokele-mbembe here. It's been a part of that local culture for thousands of years. And so it's not like it's brand new. That's kind of a misrepresentation by the article here. It's not like it just showed up. But the problem is that our knowledge of it from the Western world we haven't been in the Congo that long as far as, from the outside looking in. It was just this deep, dark portion of Africa that was largely unexplored. And so if you're not there talking to them, it's not like those, villagers have Twitter or X and they can tweet it out. It's not brand new. So some have suggested that the Mokele-mbembe could be a relic of the dinosaur age. That's kind of what I'm voting. I think it probably is. If it's real, could it be something else? Well, maybe. I don't know. Could life have somehow evolved another version of a sauropod in the whole scheme of things? Maybe. Hell, it happened once. Maybe it could happen again. I don't know. But I think it's most likely to be something that's maybe just been there. Just a little pocket of these things that still exist. What timeline were Brontosaurus around? I don't know. Maybe it's Cretaceous. Maybe it's something else. I'm not really sure. Brontosaurus were big, but they weren't like Diplodocus or, Titanosaurus or any of those. Those were really, really big, but they were big. Probably like an elephant with a long neck, which is kind of what Mokele-mbembe is described as. So, and maybe they've shrunk a little bit. The coelacanth prehistoric fish was once thought to be extinct. Yeah, Jeff, you're right. Until they caught one in a fishing net in Africa, and I'm pretty sure I could throw a 4-foot tall frog a beating. Yeah, I'm betting you could probably. I'd probably put money on that. I don't know, unless they're like little ninjas with really disgusting tongues. I don't know what they got cooking inside of there, but it could be bad. I don't know. He's got a tongue like a gecko. All right, so there you go. That's a Mokele-Mbembe. What do you guys think? Did you know about it? Did you know it was out there? Had you heard of that one before? So Adam Davis was, who is a cryptozoologist, and he goes out and run research. Expeditions was, I think, the first person to ever go out on expedition looking for the Mokele-Mbembe and actually completing his expedition. Although they didn't find one, they apparently did run into tribal people that were familiar with it being out there. So, and I wish I knew more about it, because I've met Adam several times. He's a great guy. I just haven't ever sat down and had a discussion with him, because he doesn't like to do interviews very often. So, but I'll have to, next time I see him, I'll have to talk to him about that. All right, next up is the Thunderbird. And I think we all know about those, right? That's nothing new. Last year, a couple of strange creatures washed ashore. Where, Jed? Where is this? Is this Africa, or where, Jed Maxwell? I'm not sure what the context of that was. So, yeah. I don't know. That could be a good pay-per-view, Wes. Sasquatch Chronicles versus the Loveland Frogman. I'm thinking, hell, if you can drag Mike Tyson out into a ring with Jake Paul and rake in millions, you could probably do all right taking on a frogman. I'm just saying. Thunderbird, I think we all know about, but let's check it out. First introduced into North American folklore by Native American tribes, the Thunderbird is often described as a gargantuan bird with a wingspan large enough to darken the sky. Some accounts have suggested that it is large enough to carry off an entire bison in its talons. Oh, wow. You'd think, though, that if they were really out there all the time, then there'd be ranchers watching cows getting carried off all the time, then, wouldn't there? I mean, there aren't a lot of bison around anymore, but they'd probably be hitting ranches like crazy. Though the Thunderbird is primarily a figure of mythology, there has been occasional sightings by modern-day witnesses. Skeptics, however, argue that these reports are either likely to be hoaxes or cases of misidentification. Typically of known bird species, such as eagles or vultures. Well, yeah, but I mean, eagles are big, but they're not blocking out the sky big. And whatever people are seeing it sounds gigantic. So I don't know. To date, no conclusive evidence of an extant species of giant bird consistent with the legend has ever been found. Right, because again, that would make them no longer cryptozoological. But whatever they are, I don't know. Again, I've racked my brains about these before. I think we live, okay, this is just me on my soapbox, but I think we might live in a situation where there's a lot of things that exist around us outside of our light spectrum, outside of the sound spectrum that we normally perceive. However, sometimes maybe conditions are right that we can see them. And maybe they can't see us either unless those conditions are right. Like we might be outside of their light spectrum and outside of their sound spectrum or whatever. I don't know. It's hard to say. Or maybe we're just out of phase from each other. Maybe it's a matter of matter vibration, a frequency that we exist in, where our atoms are resonating at a certain frequency, and maybe these things resonate just outside of that, either above or below or whatever. I don't know. And then maybe sometimes it aligns. I don't know. Oh, no. Wes, you cracked me up, brother. All right. All right. So anyway, those are 3 cryptids. Did you guys know them? Did you know all 3? If you knew all 3, just type 3 in the chat. If you knew 2, type 2. If you knew 1, type 1. If you didn't know any, type 0. And in that case, you're welcome, because you do now. And I think that's the beauty of the show. So I'd like to see, what did you guys know? Yeah, it's a Rocky reference. I got that. I got that. I will break you. Drago. I will break you. All right. So 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Forest friend knew. Good job, Forest friend. I was familiar with all of them. Good day, Brent. PP Chat sending love from Australia. Thank you, Gay. I appreciate it. It's nice to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in. What the hell, Justin's saying? Haktua. Really? All right, so 2 Shadows knew all 3. All right, good. Wizard Moon knew all 3. Codename Dirty Bird knew 3. I figured you would, Dirty Bird. I knew you would. And you know, I mean, a lot of these were kind of one-offs or two-offs. Like the Loveland Frogman happened, and then it happened again, and then it's kind of not happened ever since. So what was that? I don't know. But it's not like Bigfoot Dogman, where there's reports coming in all the time from people seeing these things. Vincent knew all 3. Cool. Okay. Jordan Cogburn knew 3. SoCal Squatcher knew 2 of them. Fair enough. And so, yeah, I mean, they are, I guess, lesser known, but most of you guys knew most of them anyway. So that's cool. But I hope you guys learned something. Hi, Miss Firejack. Good to see you. Oh, Barbara knew about the frog. Good. Okay. And I'm sure you knew about the Thunderbird as well, right? Yeah. The Mokele Mbembe, I think, is an interesting one because it seems pretty plausible to me that these villagers, these people out in the middle of the deep, dark, swampy forests of Africa, definitely the roads marginally, if ever, traveled outside of these villagers, if they're familiar with seeing these things, you kind of got to give that a little bit of at least consideration. These people aren't, unless they're chewing on some strange roots out there. I don't know. But I think there's something for it, that they understand that it's part of their world. And so do you just dismiss that? I don't know. I don't think so. So I hope more, well, it's one of those things. I kind of hope more research goes into it. But at the same time, I kind of hope it doesn't, because, God, if they're found, then it's going to be hell. Whatever that legend is going to become in a zoo or something. You know, people are going to come in and take it because, I mean, and you know, I don't know. I don't think it would probably be protected real well through the efforts of the Congo. And maybe it would. I don't know. Maybe I'd be surprised. I hope so. But, you know, that would be definitely a national treasure to discover. But then there would be the tourists. Let's go see the Mokele Mbembe. Come on, kids. Apparently those things are pretty ferocious, though. Like they got mouthfuls of these pretty significant teeth and have been known to kill villagers. Like they don't like people around at all. I've looked into it a little bit, and they're not of this peaceful Plantosaurus. They'll beat your ass in a hurry. And yeah, I'm sure it would be a pretty rough way to go. So, yeah, you don't mess with a Mokele Mbembe. It's considered to be a fearsome thing down there. Lots of weird critters wandering around. You got that right, Dirty Birdie. All right, let's get to the next one. Then this one is, I think, the last one for today. Then we're going to get on to some other stuff that I've managed to procure for your entertainment. And this is from Metaphysics and Psychology. I like this one because I've always been fascinated by this topic, and I'm speaking of near-death experiences. Near-death experiences, to me, I think stand as one of the best evidences potentially to reinforce the idea that there's life after this body finishes doing its thing, like that the conscious part of us continues. And I think people of faith, you know, don't have a problem with that. They've already accepted that, and it's part of their reality. But there's others that maybe don't have that foundation in faith, and they're hoping there's something more, but they don't know. And so when people are pronounced clinically dead, when there's no brain and cerebral activity whatsoever, and yet they come back with these robust stories of experiences, of even seeing their body and seeing what's going on around their body because they're looking at it from above, and then can come back and recount what they experienced, or even visiting loved ones that are, you know, because they're thinking of them as they're passing. and what they're able to observe and can be verified by those loved ones, it just shows that it's more than, to me, it's more than just some DMT dump in the mind of a dying, in the dying mind to try to calm the consciousness to face its impending doom, which is what a lot of skeptics would say that these near-death experiences are. Raymond Moody did some excellent research on it. Several people are continuing to research it, but let's get to this, because from unexplained-mysteries.com, once again, comes Metaphysics and Psychology Major New Reincarnation Study to Explore Children's Past Life Memories. So this one has to do with more with reincarnation, which I think is also fascinating. There's been several cases of kids coming back with knowledge of and pretty impressive knowledge of former lives, including talking about their own children, talking about their old neighborhoods, and then going and visiting those places and finding out, yeah, it exists just as they said it did, with the people there and people in that family that these little kids have, in some cases, even recognized their own former children. And it's just incredible, and it defies understanding. So let's check out this article. It says the research initiative will study the phenomena of young children recalling details of their past lives. Set to be launched by the University of Virginia's Division of Perceptual Studies, or DOPS, DOPS for short. The new program is backed by $750,000 of funding. Where'd that come from? And is supported by several organizations, including the Bial Foundation, whatever the hell that is, the Dreamery Foundation, and the Philip B. Rothenberg Research Fund. According to the press release, the research will employ state-of-the-art neuroimaging and contemporary research methodologies to find out why some children seem to possess memories associated with their past lives. The study will be headed by Dr. Marietta. Oh God, look at that! Like somebody dropped a Scrabble box. And no offense to the person, it's just my Midwestern palate and eyes don't know what to do with all those letters together. Palivanova, maybe. And Dr. Philip Cozzolino. This expanded research program marks a new chapter in our scientific investigation of children's past life memories, said Dr. Palivanova. I think that might be it. I think I might have nailed it. All right. By combining insights from our extensive case collection with modern neuroscientific methods, we aim to understand the cognitive, neurophysiological, and environmental factors that may contribute to these experiences. The study will look at two potential mechanisms through which memories of alleged past lives manifest in some children: memory and trauma, as well as new ways to identify and study such cases. I have no idea what I just read. That's a lot. The research aims to bridge the gap between these compelling cases and mainstream science, the press release states. The public presentation and dissemination of this work at conferences and in peer-reviewed scientific journals will contribute to our understanding of consciousness, memory, and human experience. Well, there you go. And then there's, I guess, a Facebook post of some kind. But, whatever. I guess they can look. I don't know what to say. I have my own beliefs, and I hope they're right. I believe they're right. But yeah, I think it's interesting. It's a very real phenomenon. There's one child that remembered being on a ship during World War II and had very vivid memories of what had transpired, and apparently it checked out. And this child shouldn't have had any exposure to that kind of material at his young age. So it was very compelling. And there's many of these cases like that. So is it possible we come back? I don't know. Maybe it's possible some people come back. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, but believe what is right with your heart and your soul. So is it possible? Maybe. All right, that's that article, and I guess that's gonna be a complete bake of the news tonight. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you learned something new, and by the sounds of that poll, you learned something. Some of you guys learned something. So we got that going for us, because Knowing is half the battle. Come on, G.I. Joe, anybody? Come on. Did that hit anybody out there? I want to know. I want to know if you recognize that. Let's go back to the rest of the show. Yeah, I will, Wes. I definitely will. Thank you, happy dog lady. There it is. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was news. Hope you guys enjoyed it, had a good time, and picked up something to bring with you through the journey of your life. And all right, you leaving, Wes? It says until next time. I don't know. Does that mean you're out? You're out of here. Wes only stops in for the news. No, I don't know. He'll maybe stick around for a while. I don't know. It's good to see you, though. If you got around, I understand. Imagine if each of us could put their hand on the shoulder of their parents through time. Each ancestor since life began has led us to here today. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's profound idea that, G.I. Joe reference. Oh, okay. I didn't know that until next time. I thought you were leaving. I got you there. Okay. Let's continue. I got an article that I've pulled up, and I think it should be a good one. I haven't pre-read it. I usually don't pre-read anything for these shows, folks. So everything I'm reading to you is just as new to me as it is to you guys. And I don't know if that's lazy and stupid of me, but I just kind of like discovering this stuff with you. Yeah, knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. But I think that's, it becomes revelatory for me as well as for you guys. And it inspires thought. If I pre-read this stuff, I'd probably forget half the things I'd want to discuss with you guys. So when I read it cold, hell, it's right on the tip of my melon, so I can't forget. This is an article. This one comes from phantomsandmonsters.com. Again, this is Lon Strickler's site. Exceptional site. And please check it out if you're into a lot of different encounter stories dealing with UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and so much more, and even strange phenomena. Lon covers it all over there, so check it out. I almost spit my drink out. What happened? I don't even know what happened. But Lon's also got a podcast, and that is Phantoms and Monsters Radio, and it's also a YouTube channel. So subscribe to the man. Help him out. Show him that you're paying attention. He does live streams on Friday nights, so stop in and say hello and tell him the portal sent you. This is an article from Tuesday, January 14th. That's like yesterday old. Okay. That's brand new stuff. Let's get to this. 911 operator receives call from dead patient. Man, I don't think the 911 operator knew that at the time, but that's very interesting. I find the phenomena of ghostly phone calls both exciting, intriguing, and also pretty freaking creepy, but kind of cool. I don't know. Well, I don't know what you guys think of it, but I suppose, and who knows? Who knows if it was really the patient that called? Maybe it just sounded like the patient, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was a mimic of some kind. Maybe it was some kind of other intelligence. We just don't know. But according to the headline, this 911 operator got a call from this person now, and after they were dead. Now, I do have a secondhand story, and this came from my cousin who's now in Tennessee, but he used to be in law enforcement up in Michigan. And I've shared it on the show, but it was a long time ago. So I'm going to share it to you again. Now, this wasn't a ghostly phone call, but it was definitely the story goes, well, let me just share the story and we can discuss it afterwards. So what happened was it was a really bad snow in Michigan when this happened. And State Patrol got a call for a wellness check on an elderly guy that lived in a rural area. And nobody had heard from him. The family was reaching out to him, but couldn't get a hold of him and stuff. So they were like, we got to get him checked on. Is he okay? Does he have power? Because they get a lot of ice storms and have a lot of bad weather up there. So they sent they sent the police to go check on him. And so the trooper goes there and finds that there's like the last bit of road is all very, very like old rural road, but it hadn't been plowed, and there was like 10 or 12 inches of snow, and he couldn't get his cruiser back there. So he had to hike it on foot for the last half mile through all this snow. So he's busting through all this snow up this dark country road with the snow just coming down, a little bit of wind. I mean, it was really, I think, a blizzard. And so he gets back there and he gets to the house and the lights are on. He can see the lights are on. So he walks up the walk, comes up to the door. Next to the door, there's a little window, and he can look into the window, and he sees the old guy sitting there in the chair watching TV, and there's the lights are flickering like the TV's on. Can't hear it, but he can see the guy sitting there. So he's like, well, he must be okay. I better talk to him. So he knocks on the door. And the old guy's still just sitting there watching TV, not moving, just watching. Can see that he's not like a statue. He's making subtle movements, but he's not getting up to answer the door. The guys think, well, maybe he's really hard of hearing. So it's boom, 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 just hammering on the door. And still, the old guy's staring at the TV, just sitting there, apparently blinking, apparently showing that he's cognizant and awake, but he's watching TV. The trooper's like, I was going to kick in the door, but he's like, I decided to go back and check the other doors in the house. Maybe one of them's open. I don't have to bust in the door during a snowstorm. So he goes around the house, and he goes to the back of the house, and he finds the back of the house is where apparently the kitchen is. He opens the door and opens it, steps in, and there's no light on in the house. The whole place is dark, except for in the living room. And he looks down on the floor, and there's the guy that he had seen watching television just moments before, but he was on the floor, and he was dead, and he was long dead. And he went into the living room to look, and there was nobody sitting there. There was nobody there. So he saw the old guy sitting there watching TV as if he was still home and just fine, but he went around the house and found the old guy had died long before and was dead on the kitchen floor. And then he was no longer in the chair. So I don't know what you would do, but I'd be like, oh my God, that would be a tough one to comprehend and a tough one to deal with. Maybe it's residual. You might be right, Jeff. It's hard to say. Or was it, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it would have to be residual because it didn't seem to be responsive at all to the officer. Like it wasn't intelligent enough to go look at the door and then just like, I'm not getting up. It didn't respond in any way. So it does seem to behave very much residual. I think so, Phil. I'm not positive the TV was still on, but I think so, as it was like, it's like he got up from watching television and apparently stroked out or had a cardiac event and just went down. And that was it. It was game over. But he saw him. Well, it wasn't that. It was actually the family members that called to have the wellness check, Wes. So he actually didn't call. The old man didn't call at all. It was the family that couldn't get a hold of him, for like a day or two. And so they wanted someone to go check on him during this heavy snowstorm, and that's when he found it. So, yeah, Trooper took his sweet time getting there. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting, but a very creepy story. So this is a little different. This one has to do with law enforcement, but it's a 911 operator. So let's read this one and find out just what's going on. Apparently, the elderly female had been dead for a while and was already in full rigor mortis. They thought I was wrong on the caller, but the other dispatchers played it back and confirmed that it was the female who called. I received the following account. About a dozen years ago, I was working as a 911 dispatcher in Cabell County, West Virginia. I received a call from an elderly lady who had trouble breathing. I'd taken several calls from her and her husband in the past, so I recognized her voice. Well, I dispatched an ambulance to her residence and held her on the line to keep her calm while the ambulance was responding. The ambulance advised that they had a 15-minute ETA, and she lived in a very rural area. Well, I'm talking to her, asking her about her husband and how he was doing, and just making small talk with her. And the ambulance called in and advised they were on the scene, and I let them know that she was in severe respiratory distress, and I still had her on the line. Well, I let her know that the ambulance was coming to the door to answer the door, and she said okay and hung up the phone. Pretty normal, yeah? Well, here's where it gets weird. The EMT and the paramedic on scene call back about a minute later and advise that no one is answering the door. We have a sheriff's unit who is in the area pulling up on the scene about that time. Sheriff unit confirmed the address and advised he was breaching the door to gain access to the patient. Well, 5 minutes go by and the paramedic on scene radios in asking who the caller was. Well, I advised it was the elderly female who lived at the residence, and he tells me that he's going to call in and needs to speak with the supervisor on shift. Well, we get him over to the supervisor, and the supervisor confirms the information that I gave him and asks what's going on. Apparently, the elderly female had been dead for a while and was already in full rigor mortis. They thought I was wrong on the caller, but the other dispatchers played it back and confirmed that it was the female who called. The ambulance was transferred to the hospital, and we got the same calls and disbelief from the doctors. So I took a call from a ghost. Oof. Wow. And apparently talked to her for 15 minutes, roughly. That's crazy. I don't know. So she's having trouble breathing, and the 911 operator decides to make small talk. Yeah. It's probably not the right time to try to keep her talking, but she was trying to keep her calm, I guess. Having trouble breathing. Tell me, did you grow up in West Virginia? Yeah. Yep, she didn't want to just hang around anymore. I guess not. I guess she was all done. I wonder what was the story with the husband then? Wasn't he there, or was he there? And I don't understand. Did he not know his wife was dead? I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but you got to wonder. It's like, wait a minute. There's still so much more we don't know. Yeah, they did. They played it back, Jed, and that's how they knew it was the lady who called, because the EMS was skeptical about that because she is very long dead, and there was only another male in the house apparently, but apparently he didn't check on his wife much or something. I don't know. That's the part I'm not so sure about. What's that all about? He might and he might have been celebrating like, yeah, ding dong, the witch is dead. I hope not. I mean, God only knows. But she was apparently just fine to call in, even after her own passing. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? It's okay to laugh. Thanks, Barbara, because I feel like someone's up by the pearly gates going, oh yeah, we noted that one, bastard. Peter, put that in the book, quick. Yeah, you never know. Oh my God, that's a crazy story though. For 15 minutes, I mean, how would you feel knowing you just had an extended conversation with a ghost, someone who's no longer here, or something that sounds like her? I mean, my God, the possibilities are endless, right? But that's a creepy one. Sounds like a tale of life insurance money. Well, it's hard to collect that Social Security if she's, no, I'm just kidding. There's all kinds of stories about that, of people having deceased loved ones who receive Social Security, and so they just don't report their passing, and they just keep taking the checks. Yeah, that's a tragedy for sure. I mean, I guess money makes people all kinds of stupid, but yeah, that's pretty crazy. I don't know if they're real common, Kel, but they do come up, and I find them fascinating. And I think the thing is that maybe it's not a big thing for them. I don't know. I mean, because we can only presume that these are energetic presences. They're not physical presences in the traditional sense. They are energetic presences. So maybe it's not a lot for them to manipulate electronics like telephones and radios and lights and stuff, because clearly that comes up all the time in paranormal stories. the electronic issues, the electronics malfunctioning. And it comes up in not only ghost stuff, but it comes up in cryptozoological as well, which is also very interesting. But my mom did, but I reported she had passed. I'm not a monster. Oh, yeah. She died. Yeah, I know. She passed. My heart goes out to you still, brother. Good evening, Brent and Chad. How you doing, Nocturnal Frequency Radio? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. It came free with a magazine. I don't know if you can remember those flexible 7-inch records, but it was one of those. What is it? What is it, Jed? What came free? As a kid, I had an Arthur C. Clarke record of Voices of the Dead. It terrified and fascinated me. Oh, wow. Yeah, I used to love when magazines would come with those little floppy records, but you could put them on your record player and play them. Those were so cool. God, that brings back memories, dude. You just brought me back to the 1970s in a big way. Wow. It's been a long time since I was there, but I still remember those, and they were always square. They weren't even round. They didn't even bother cutting them into a circle. They're just like, there it is. And they were about the size of a oversized 45 with right angles. And you could just put them right on your record player and listen. They were so cool. No need to download, folks. You just had to cut them out of the magazine or pull the staples and get them out without wrecking the record itself. There you go. All right. It says, just reading the Gospel of John today, the Jews thought that the soul hung around for 4 days after death and can be revived. And that's why Jesus waited for over 4 days to raise Lazarus. Yeah, imagine his, how sore he was. It's like there's nothing happening there for over 4 days. And then it's like, hey, come on back. I guess he was not the same guy for quite a long time, if ever, after that. But pretty amazing. All right, so Lazarus, thanks for bringing back Jesus' House in Paradise with loved ones. But no, it's cool. It's cool. I'm happy being back here. Yeah. It looks like something you'd see on Family Guy, doesn't it? Yeah. Meanwhile, he's like got a walker. Yeah, and before he was the spry man. I don't know how that works. But anyway, that was a cool story, and special thanks to Phantoms and Monsters for that lovely, lovely story. Now I think we're going to go right into the Cryptid Corner. So without any more delay, because we've been kind of cutting it a little shorter for the last few episodes. So let's find out just what's going on with the cryptids, because we're going to start out with Sasquatch Chronicles. Wes is like, what? Really? Yes, we are. We're starting with your site, Wes. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is about time for that. Let me just pull this up here. There we go. Here we go. What the hell am I doing here? Yep, there we go. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Cryptid Corner. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Cryptid Corner, and we're going to dive into this. We are starting the journey at Sasquatch Chronicles blog, SasquatchChronicles.com. Wes is here. If you don't support his site, I'm just saying, you're kind of that would be harsh. So stop over and check out the blog. Wes does an incredible job over here, and I love when he posts these listener emails. These are awesome. This one is from January 14th. The creature's hair was a reddish brown color. A listener writes, I'm from the rural community of Siler, Kentucky. It's located in Whitley County, Kentucky, in the southeast corner of the state. And I lived with these encounters since the summer of 2015, after my first encounter with these creatures, or boogers, as they're referred to in this part of the world. Yeah. It's okay to take a bathroom break, everyone. Wes. Oh, come on, Wes. I've tried to tell a handful of other people who are close to me about these experiences, but just like nearly everyone else who is cursed to be dragged into this topic, no one really believed me. I now feel compelled to share my experiences, or at least get the nightmares off my chest, and after listening to your podcast for the past several years, I trust you with this information. I'll start with my first experience since it's the most sane, if that's possible with this subject, which occurred around July of 2015. Up until this point in my life, I was slightly interested in the existence of Bigfoot, but was still just very skeptical. Well, I figured as much time as I spent in the woods, I would have seen something if it had existed. I watched anything on television that featured Bigfoot or other cryptids, and on this summer night, everything would change and I would no longer have an ounce of skepticism in my body. I graduated high school the previous May and was living the summer up before I started college at Eastern Kentucky University to pursue a criminal justice degree. Well, I was driving home from my girlfriend's house and was getting fairly close to home. It was approximately 10 p.m. and I was following a green Chevy Silverado up 92 East, and we were traveling at around 60 miles per hour. Man, this guy is all about details. I got to give him credit. You can tell he's going to be in law enforcement. Consistently, when the road was straight enough, we went into an S-curve and accelerated hard out of it into a straightaway that climbed a hill. The entire straightaway was around 100 yards long before it topped the hill. In the middle of the straightaway is another road, Highway 11, which was a 90-degree turnoff, and this section of both roads is built up on a levee that runs through a creek bottom. I was keeping about a 2-car distance from the truck in front of me the entire time. When the Chevy had just cleared the turnoff into the Highway 11, I witnessed a large dark mass come over the guardrail on the left-hand side of the road, and immediately, out of instinct, I let off the accelerator, and in one big step, the creature placed its left foot on the yellow line. The next thing I see is the sole of its right foot come up in the air before taking another leaping bound to the right-hand shoulder of the road. In 2 steps, this thing had cleared a state highway. My Chevy truck, a 2006 Silverado, caught up with the beast and was keeping pace with it. It looked out the passenger window. I looked out at the passenger window and could make out the creature running beside my truck. It paced my truck for approximately 40 yards and then violently veered right when the guardrail ended halfway up the hill. I still had enough sense about me to look down at my speedometer when I realized I had just now coasted down to 45 miles per hour. I was speechless and in shock when I came over the hill. There's an elementary school about a quarter mile from the top of the hill. I pulled over into the parking lot and stopped to try to gather myself and attempt to process what had just happened. The creature's hair was reddish-brown color, but the sole of its foot was tan. And this could be from the mud in the creek bottom. It had run out of, if I had to guess. My headlights, which were on low beam, only illuminated the top of the buttocks down. And I would say the thighs of this Sasquatch, or whatever the hell it was, were about the same circumference as my waist, or maybe chest currently, and I'm 6'1", 250-pound diesel mechanic. Oh, he's a diesel mechanic. Thought he was going to get criminal justice. I wouldn't say I'm jacked or anything, but I make a living lifting and fighting with extremely heavy things. When the creature was running beside my truck, I could confidently see the upper stomach area at the top of my passenger window and the left arm swinging to and fro as it powered up the hill. It was dark, but fairly moonlit night, and my headlight glow bounced off the guardrail gave me the ability to track its movement until it wheeled right off the road. This entire experience lasted about 5 seconds, but burned itself through my eyes and into my mind forever. That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. Not that I don't believe the guy. I believe it for sure. I mean, it makes sense. And especially with all the detail. I mean, this isn't somebody that just saw a blob. It was able to perceive, and it paced his truck at, 45-ish miles an hour, or maybe even faster, because he finally, when he looked down, he had slowed down. He had let his foot off the accelerator and had let his foot off. Must have been going much faster, but over the 5 seconds, he was down to about 45 miles an hour. And that's a Silverado. It's not aerodynamic, so they slow down relatively quickly. I don't know how fast it was going, but that would definitely be incredibly fast for anything bipedal to be running like that. That's an incredible story. So I don't know what you guys think, but that's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy story. Pretty cool. Great. I don't know. I think it'd make a great show because he was talking about several experiences, but this is just one of them. So I don't know. I'd love to hear what else the guy has seen or experienced as well. Hopefully he'll be on an upcoming episode of Sasquatch Chronicles. That's all I got to say. I mean, it sounds like he'd be a good interview. Like he's got a lot of details to what he's saying. And those are always fun interviews because you can really dig into it. Very cool. Very cool story. What do you guys think? What would you do if you were driving along and found you had a Sasquatch running alongside your car? I mean, how do you not crash at that point? I don't know. The guy it was only 5 seconds, which honestly isn't a long period of time, but then again, when you're in a traumatic experience, 5 seconds feels like forever as your brain's just sucking in what you're seeing and trying to come to terms with it. But that's a pretty impressive experience. Wes is on Amazon. Didn't even know they had podcasts. Yeah, they've got them. Everybody's got podcasts now. Everybody's carrying podcasts. Yeah. If you ever look through the different platforms and where the downloads are coming from, I had no idea there was that many platforms out there. It's just like, and granted, I'm not making, huge impacts on a lot of them, but a few of them were doing pretty good. But I'm just stunned. It's like, what the hell is that? It's just strange named ones that I've never, ever, ever heard of. And maybe they're more international. I don't know. That could certainly be the case in some of them. But there's a lot of different podcast platforms. I can't find current content. I'll search again. Do you look on like Spotify, Justin? Or if you look on Spotify, if you look on iTunes, if you look on iHeartRadio, those are the big ones. Pandora, Stitcher, Castbox, Podbean, Google Play. There's lots of different platforms that have them. Both Wes's and my show. So I'm gonna utilize this moment to plug my own podcast. So because I'm out there too. Just saying. All right, let's go to the next story from Sasquatch Chronicles blog, ladies and gentlemen, and this one is January 13th, so it's 2 days old, which is still quite current. All right, here we go. This is a strange Texas encounter. A listener writes, my husband and I were pig hunting one night. We hadn't been at our spot very long when my husband, who's 6'6" and not scared of anything, screamed to get me in the truck. The fear in his voice unnerved me, but I couldn't stop staring at what I was seeing, approximately 60 yards from where I was positioned. I could see the grass parting like something tall and fast was coming towards me, but there was nothing there that I could see, and I could hear it coming. I could see the grass parting and the tree branches breaking and snapping back, but there was nothing visible. I just stood there frozen, right till the last second. My husband broke the spell by opening my door and yelling for me to get inside the vehicle. He was just in time too, because whatever it was hit the car and circled us while scraping its claws into the sides of our vehicle. When we finally gained the courage to get out and look at our car, the claw marks were clearly visible and tree branches were scattered everywhere. We left. What do you mean they sat there? After that thing just came out, they couldn't see it. It laid a big scratch on their car and they still sat there? Man, I got to give those people a lot of kudos, because there's no way in hell I would have sat there. I would have been somewhere about 15 miles away before I felt it was okay to get out and look at my car. But it says we left. The next day when the sun was up, we returned to look for tracks, but what we found was far more intriguing. The tops of the trees had been ripped out and arranged in a perfect circle where our vehicle had been parked. I've never shared this in writing, so please forgive my grammatical errors. Well, that's interesting. God, I would have hoped they would have taken a picture. It doesn't really say. It just says it happened one night, but is this like, hey, let's get a picture of this? Because that would be really fascinating. But did they not find tracks then? I got a bunch of questions. It sounds like it'd be a great episode as well, but I don't know. That's interesting that it could see the grass parting. It could see the twigs being broken by something coming, but was unable to view the actual thing. So is that a cloaked squatch, or was it low? I don't know. I don't understand. Was it lower than the grass and just kind of crawling or belly crawling along, or was it standing up and just transparent? I don't know. That's pretty crazy. It says it could see the grass parting like something tall was coming towards me, but there was nothing there that I could see, and I could hear it coming. Excuse me. I could see the grass parting and the tree branches breaking and snapping back, but there was nothing visible. So it does sound like it was transparent. Okay. So it was like a window squatch, crystal clear. Couldn't see it. That's horrifying. But it had claws, right? It said it dragged its claws along the car. So maybe it was something else. Maybe it wasn't a Bigfoot at all. I don't know. Because generally speaking, Bigfoot have nails like we have nails. You know, they don't have protruding, sharp claw appendages. Or even, maybe they have sharper nails. I don't know. It's the predator. It sounds like it, Miss Firejack, doesn't it? That's creepy, though. That'd be really, really super creepy. Well, maybe she was just in a state of shock. Like, I don't understand. I can see it coming. I can see what it's doing as it's coming, but I can't see it. And that'd be a horrifying place to be. I mean, if you were just incapable of moving because you couldn't process it, and that's possible. But she said that her husband finally snapped her out of the trance by popping her door open. What if he hadn't? What if he hadn't gotten into the car and popped her door open in time? Eesh, that's creepy as hell. Well, there you go. That's the second one from Sasquatch Chronicles. We're going to go back over to Phantoms and Monsters now, because there's more. There's always more. How are we doing for time? 8:23. Yeah, we got time for a few more. We got time. This one is from January 5th, 2025. This is large white hairless primate observed in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Huh. So is this like a case of, well, like every time any weird chupacabra thing shows up, well, no, it's a coyote with mange. So is this a Bigfoot with mange? Is that possible? Could Bigfoot get mange? Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't know how it would survive, though, without any hair. Because, I mean, Georgia, it can get pretty cold there. I just don't understand that. Like, even those pale crawlers, which are these emaciated, like, stick figures with really long arms and sharp, strong hands. And apparently they're very, 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 very strong. But how do they survive the elements with absolutely no body fat, no thermal covering at all? So do they have just some kind of screaming metabolism that just burns calories and heats them up? Is that what's going on? Chimps can get alopecia. Yeah, I suppose it's possible. Maybe people get alopecia as well, so maybe it could be that. Yeah, there's that one, and that was one of those pictures. Spoiler alert. It was a 4 foot tall frog. Oh, you wrecked it. I don't know if this is the frogman or not, but it's a chimp man or something. I don't know. It says large white hairless primate, so I don't know what they mean by large, but let's find out. Again, from phantomsandmonsters.com. A young man in Lawrenceville, Georgia was dog sitting for a friend when one evening, as he was taking the dog for a walk, he encountered a white, hairless, lean, gorilla-like being. Huh. All right. Lon says he came across the following accounts. This experience happened about 9 years ago. I was dog sitting for a family friend of mine. my then girlfriend's family for some extra money. And I would go over to their house once in the morning and once in the evening to feed the dog, walk it around the backyard on a leash to do its business. It was a smaller dog, one of those that seemed to overcompensate for its size by trying to be big, bad, and scary. Yeah, I don't know. Little dogs don't know they're little. It's barking at everything with no fear. Yeah, little dogs, they don't know. I don't know what it is with them, but man, they think they are giant. Little dogs think they are just enormous, and they're all, not all, but a lot of them are just so, they got like Mastiff attitudes with these little economy bodies. It's pretty funny. He had no fear. So I was doing this for a solid week. And on the second to last night I was over there, I was walking the dog in the backyard as usual. It was fairly dark by that time, but not pitch black, but dark enough that you couldn't comfortably walk around without a light. The moon was out, so that helped a bit, but I also had my phone's flashlight on. The backyard was not fenced, hence the leash, and it was probably a good 15 feet of flat ground before it became thick, tall, grassy weed-type foliage. Behind that was just woods. The dog always took a long time sniffing around every damn weed, rock, and what have you. That's the thing, even with my dog. It's like, what is it with dogs that they have to find just the perfect place? Like there's a whole math going on in their heads when they're looking for a place to roll a deuce. I mean, it's like, what the hell? Just let it roll. We'll pick it up. You don't have to worry where you're putting it. But man, dogs are picky about where they roll them. They just don't drop them anywhere unless they're in trouble, unless they're like got some indigestion going on. Then you're lucky if you get them outside of the door in time. But I'm always fascinated by that. It's just like, why are you smelling for 5 minutes and then just rolling it out there? It's like, what was there? What made that the special spot that needed a turd? You know, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't know. The dog always took a long time sniffing. Okay, I already read that. Then it suddenly froze, as if too scared to move a muscle. At the same time, I heard a rustling maybe 20 feet ahead of me and to my right. I shined my phone's flashlight over in that direction, but it was obviously not helpful. The rustling grew louder, but did not sound like it was getting closer to me. And finally, I started seeing the tall grassy foliage start to move, and then I saw something emerge from it. Its size was similar to that of an adult black bear, but it was covered in skin that was whitish in color, and it wasn't filled out or bulbous like a bear, but it seemed rather lean instead. Imagine a large white gorilla with no hair, hunched down on its front arms and legs. I wonder if he saw a pale crawler and just thinks it was more gorilla-like, because they have long arms too. So maybe that's what he saw, was a pale crawler, and he's thinking it was some kind of primate. Not that pale crawlers couldn't be primates, but you know what I mean. They're these anomalies. Well, it didn't make any grunting or growling noises, and somehow it looked like it was moving in slow motion. The dog, which would normally bark at anything, started to whimper. Well, at this point, my eyes had started adjusting to the dim light, and I saw the thing turn its head towards me. I don't believe it had a face. Well, I ran back to the house with that dog so fast, I would have beaten Usain Bolt. The next day, I went out with an actual flashlight, but nothing out of the ordinary happened. Yeah, that's creepy as hell. I don't think he saw a hairless primate. I think he probably saw a pale crawler, or the rake. The new name is rake, but I think it's probably a rebranding of a ghoul. But I think they may prey on small animals and dogs and cats and stuff too. I don't know. They used to prey on corpses, but then we started embalming those, so we probably screwed up their food source. So now they just got to forage like everything else. I don't know. That's creepy as hell. Whatever it is, I think I would rather see a hairless Bigfoot than one of those pale crawlers, though. Something about them just is so freaky to me. Just creepy, freaky. Plaque dogs, now plaque gorillas. What's plaque? Plague dogs, now plague gorillas. Gotcha. I thought it was a Q, not a G. I gotcha. No face. Well, I mean, granted, the guy was looking in dim light. He's using a cell phone flashlight at, several feet away. So the fact that he didn't see any details doesn't surprise me. And it was probably squinting real hard because of that bright light. It's a nocturnal creature. So I don't know. And if it was real pale, fair skinned, you might not see the features of any kind of nose bridge or whatever. And I don't know if they have one, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what the face of a pale crawler really looks like, but I think they're largely featureless other than, they have mouths. But he said it looks like a primate for some reason. I'm not sure why, because then he goes on to say it didn't really seem to have a face. So I think primate, other than the fact that it was somehow primate or humanoid, but that just could mean bipedal and kind of squatting down like an ape. So I really think I'm a nocturnal creature too. Well, there you go, Phil. That'll work, brother. But interesting story. I've not heard of that before, but I really believe that this is probably a case of mistaking the phenomena. It's not a large white hairless primate. It's probably a hairless ghoul or something. Yeah. That's my take. Again, who can know? But it's interesting. All right, here we go. Here is a pale crawler story. Hey, Tex. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping in. This one is from January 5th, 2025. Pale crawler, humanoid, struck by vehicle on Route 92 in Susquehanna, Pennsylvania. I think I actually said that right. I'm gonna do this for me. Thank you. By the way, somebody renewed their membership to the channel, and I saw that, and I forgot to thank you, but thank you so much. I'll see it after the show is over because I can look at all the analytics and stuff. But thank you for renewing your membership, for remembering. You remembered. Thank you. All right, let's check out this pale crawler humanoid struck by vehicle on Route 92 in Susquehanna, Pennsylvania. Got hit. Oof. This grayish pale humanoid looking creature came running through the woods near the river and crossed in front of our car. He was running hunched over and on all fours. And that's why I think the other guy could have mistaken, because I think these pale crawlers generally do kind of get down and it may look chimpanzee-ish. So I don't know. Anyway, I received the following account. Hi, I had an experience in Susquehanna, Pennsylvania. We were driving along the Susquehanna River in Route 92 right outside of Oakland Borough. My friend Katie and I were 17 years old and heading home from a friend's around midnight. Well, this grayish pale humanoid looking creature came running through the woods near the river and crossed in front of our car. He was running hunched over on all fours. Well, we clipped it with the front passenger bumper, and it just kept moving up into the steep hill and into the woods. Nothing but woods for miles up that hill. Well, we both screamed, and she said, "What the hell was that?" I just sat there in horror and then told her that we had to go back and take a look. We were so confused. It's pretty remote in that area, and no one ever walks on that road. It's dangerous. Well, we turned the car around to go back, and nothing was there. We were shocked and confused. Well, we just went home and just never spoke of it again. She moved away to college shortly after, and we didn't really keep in contact too much. I will never forget that night. I didn't tell anyone until 2 years ago. Wes says, I interviewed a guy who recorded one. It was strange. Oh, yeah, I'd love to hear that interview. Which episode was that, Wes, if you don't mind? Because I wonder, was that the guy that recorded it out of his porch with his iPad or whatever, and you can see it through the screen? Oh, that one creeps. That footage creeps me out to this day. Yeah, thanks, Tex. Hit that thumbs up, please. So it says, years later, the internet gave me the ability to actually look into what I could have possibly seen. A crawler is what I saw, and it was terrifying. This earth has things on it that just don't make sense. We are not the apex predator. Northwestern Pennsylvania is a weird place, and I've seen things that just don't make sense. But this was the moment I will never forget. I don't go into the woods alone ever. I always have a dog, and they sense things that we don't. And when my dog is anxious, I just leave. I don't ever need to see anything like that again, and I know it's real already. I think they are demonic manifestation as something. Yeah, it's true. It could be. It sure could be. I mean, it's this. That's the weird part. It's like, what? How much of this stuff is out there? And you gotta admit, if it was something demonic, it could look like whatever the hell it wants, and maybe that's how we get 4-foot tall frog people and things like that too. So maybe they can just mold themselves and appear however they want. And that could maybe be why we get these weird, Pennsylvania is full of cryptids. You're right, Johnny Kilroy. You're absolutely right. I don't know what it is about Pennsylvania and Ohio, and several of those states over there are just crawling with stuff. And, tongue-in-cheek crawling, but yeah, really. Sharp, jerky movements like a drug attack or something possessed. Yeah, I think we're talking about the same video. That was so freaky. When I saw that video, now here's the thing, and I gotta say this sincerely. Like, sometimes when you look at evidence, sometimes it just feels like that just doesn't feel right. Sometimes it's a gut thing. Like, I don't know, something about this doesn't right. And then you can break it down and get more analytical about it. But sometimes you'll see a video that's just like, it hits you on a visceral, primal way. And when I saw that video through the screen, that was one of those videos that it made me feel sick to my stomach. Like, I just didn't want to watch anymore, even though I watched the whole thing. I just didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to see it. It was just a real primal reaction to it. And I don't know why. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it's just fake. It's just fake. I can't say for sure it's real, but I can tell you that very, very, very exceptionally rarely do I watch a video and go, oh, I don't feel good. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. That was one of those videos. Whatever the hell he captured. And I don't know why. I'm not claiming that I'm some kind of psychic or sensitive or anything like that, but whatever it was, something about that video made me uncomfortable. Like, I don't ever want to see that ever, ever, ever. And it, even as I'm thinking about it now, my stomach is churning. So why is that? I don't know. But most often you just look and you go, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. And it's just a gut check. But something about that video hits me right to the core of my being, and I'm like, oh, get it away, get it away. Don't move, don't go look, just get it away. I don't know what it is. I to this day I don't understand my reaction to it, but I really believe he caught something very sincerely. It's horribly creepy. Let's see, kiss a 4-foot tall frog and it turns into a princess. Yeah, you'll have to let me know how that goes, Phil. I'm not going to kiss any 4-foot tall frogs, but feel free to let us know. Deep ancestor memory triggered. It could be. It could be, Rachel. I often wonder about that, and maybe that's why, like in several of these cryptid and other creature type reports. And it's very, very strange. And maybe it's like a sixth sense that we have just because we've been competing with these things through our ancient ancestors for the world. But where was I going with this? Oh, ancestral memory. Like in a lot of cryptid reports, and most often it surprises people. They don't know why it's happening. But it's like suddenly they'll go from happy summer day out in the woods camping and stuff to, oh my God, we're going to die. And it just hits people like a brick. And there's no understanding why it is. Now, is it possible subconsciously they're picking up on cues that they're not consciously processing, but some primal part of them knows? Yeah, like cellular memory, Johnny Kilroy says. Yeah. So is that an ancient genetic memory waking up like, oh, we know something's close. There's some part of us that senses it that we're really cognizant of, but it's happening. And so we pick it up and we're like, no, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out. So I've thought about that. I've thought about, ancestral memories or genetic memories perhaps, or something, cellular memory, as you said. And those are all great thoughts. I think that, that is a very, very good possibility. It could be something energetic, but what if it's more of an ancient memory that gets passed down? They say that, like our mitochondria remembers all of our ancestral lines all the way back. So maybe in the mitochondria of our DNA, there are things like that, like triggers, like, oh, that's, that is able to sense. Maybe it could be some pheromone that our nose picks up, but our brain doesn't actually process, but some part of it does. That's more primal or more ancient, and it picks it up and goes, oops, it's primal in the brain. Things trigger our amygdala, like snake skin patterns. Ah, there you go. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's better information than I'm providing. Thank you, Annie. I appreciate that input. So it's curious, very, very curious. I think we got time for about one more here. Let me close this one. This one's a weird one. It's a brand new one that I just pulled up. And God, the image is just horrible. It can't be a real image. I think it's an AI render, but God, if that's, because I don't know how the skin could do this, but I guess I'll put it on screen so you know what the hell I'm saying here. But look at that deer. Look at how you actually see the vertebrae sticking up through the skin, and it's like it's got skin growing on it. And I don't think that could possibly happen because of connective tissues, tendons, ligaments, and things like that would join those together. But it's a creepy picture. But this one is also from phantomsandmonsters.com. Upright hide behind deer seen in eastern Iowa. Now, I don't think I've ever heard of a hide behind deer. I've heard of hide behinds, but I've always assumed that those were, it's an old figure of speech to talk about tree peeking, which is a very big Sasquatch behavior. So I figured that was just a regional explanation of what we understand to be Sasquatch, tree peeking, looking out, looking back, back and forth like that. So let's check it out. We saw a 7 to 8 foot bipedal, spindly legs, gaunt with protruding rib cage. If it/they would lean out from behind a tree in the forest behind our house. Okay. I received the following account. My daughter and I have regularly and reliably seen a hide behind from my kitchen window. This eventually led to us learning the truth about this Midwestern mythical creature. We saw a 7 to 8 foot bipedal spindly leg gaunt with protruding rib cage. It/they would lean out from behind a tree in the forest behind our house. If you moved about, it would pop back behind the tree. And we never saw more than one at a time, but it seems there to be more than one, as height did vary. We sometimes saw it multiple times in a day, but the behavior was always the same. It seemed wary of us, but if we stayed out of sight, it would lean out into view for a few seconds. When we sent our dog out, it would run off into the forest after it, but it never chased it into view. So that really told us nothing. That's a great way to lose a dog, by the way. I viewed it through a rifle scope and got a good long look at it silhouetted against the snow behind the trees. It was really creepy, like a Slender Man or something. I could determine height by going out and measuring the trees we saw it next to, and I, of course, did not shoot it, since you shouldn't shoot what you cannot identify. And the only large bipeds hereabout are people, though nothing human is that tall or narrow. We knew the local legends, Eastern Iowa, and this matched the description and behavior. And we dug out our trail camera, but solved the mystery before we got a chance to set it up. Sorry to disappoint, folks, but we solved the mystery, as I'm sure many have before us. As winter sets in, the deer like to stand on their hind legs and eat the tops of pine tree branches. And they're scared of people and will always do it behind the trees. But every so often, one that is sick, starving, one that is sick, starving, had twins, or gave birth too late in the season will be desperate. The desperate ones will lean out to get the untouched branches given the house, but if they sense movement, they duck away. What the hell is in the water in eastern Iowa? Somebody check on the children. Yeah, I don't know. Eastern Iowa, that'd be right by the Mississippi. That might explain a lot. That's where I grew up, Wes. And it might explain a lot of me. Living on the shores of the Mississippi can really mess a man up. I'm just saying. Oh, the swimming we did as kids. How much of that lake, the water of the Mississippi I drank through the years is not on purpose. It's trying to learn to water ski when you're a little kid and inevitably opening your mouth and filling your gut with, as you're being dragged like a boat lure, like a fishing lure behind a boat. You end up drinking a lot of river. And God only knows what I've ingested through the years of growing up there. But it's all the stuff of memories now. but it might explain a bunch about me and my unusual life. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I think that's my problem. Because it's right, I mean, eastern Iowa's right on the whole Mississippi thing too. So that might explain a lot. I don't know. There is the knot deer too. You hear about the knot deer? And I hate that term personally because it's like, well, it looks like a deer, but it's not deer. And they say not deer because they're viewed bipedally walking around. And I think Tony did a show on the confessionals about, Slender Man. But Tony did a show on the confessionals, and that was the first time I heard of the term not deer. I don't know where that term comes from because they look like deer. Like anatomically, they're identical to deer apparently, but they seem to travel bipedally and run bipedally as well. And the guest that he had on claimed that the knot deer chased them in their vehicle as they were trying to get away. Free range children or chicken. That's a disturbing mistake, Rachel. Expanded perspective, guys. What does that mean? The show Expanded Perspectives. I used to like that show. I used to listen to it years and years and years ago. Then they moved everything behind a paywall. I think they've moved stuff out now. And you can, again, listen to it, but I've never gone back to it since then. But I used to love listening to those guys. But yeah, that's a hide behind deer, but it was just a tired, emaciated, hungry deer, apparently. So I guess that's good. But the takeaway of that story that I think is important is that you can't just suspend logic because you're seeing something that doesn't make sense, because it might make sense if you really look into it. And in this case, they figured it out, that it was just this skinny, scrawny deer that was trying to eat some of those tender shoots and get some nutrition. And, makes sense. It does. It's kind of cool. I appreciate that some of my best friends travel bipedally. Well, good. I think all of mine do except for the pets that I have, but they're quadrupedal most of the time, unless they're begging for food. Then they can get up and dance and do all kinds of crazy stuff, my cats included. So crazy. What are we doing for time? Let's see. We might be all out of it. No, I got maybe time enough for another one. Let me look at how long these last few stories are. This one's a little longer. Yeah, this one's longer. Can't get into this one. We'll get into this one probably Friday. It has to do with a white dogman kind of thing. Man-wolf legend. This one's longer. And this one I could probably read. Let me get into this one. So this is a white owl shapeshifts into a tall white crawler humanoid. Sticking with the theme of the night. The Mississippi River is 90% urine. That ain't all it is. I've seen a few logs rolling by in my years. And that's, I can't tell you how disappointed that is to be swimming underwater and you can't see anything. And then to come up and you got a brown shark about, 3 inches off your nose. And it's just bobbing by. God, there's nothing that turns your stomach more than that. True stories, folks. I just don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I can't. I'm just telling you what it was. Telling you what my life was like. All right, here we go. Peeking from behind the grass, behind the tree, the owl just flew behind, was what looked like an impossibly tall ghost white humanoid shape with one hand on the tree trunk as it peered out from behind it. Yeah, I'm telling you, Justin, I got a lot of bad memories from that river. A lot of good memories, but I saw things floating by that would change a man, and it changed me. All right, about 10 years ago, I was on a fall evening around 7 p.m. My girlfriend and roommate and I were walking along some decommissioned Washington State train tracks surrounded by woods on both sides. We loved exploring little in-between areas, so it wasn't an uncommon event. And we're about 5 miles into the tracks and woods, and we were considering heading back since it was getting dark quick and none of us had a flashlight. Well, I suddenly got this sensation of almost nausea, including dread, or inducing dread. And I looked at both of my friends who were with me and saw that they too were feeling something. Mr. Melvin, here in Connecticut, there's a state park called Mohegan Park. And I was investigating where a 15-year-old disappeared by myself at night. And this place is in the middle of nowhere. And I was about 2 miles deep searching. Ooh, continues. I'll continue reading that as soon as it pops up. That's pretty brave, though, Mr. Melvin. Just going to say. All right, so he said, just as we turned around, we all heard strange sounds that almost sounded like quieted thunder or metal hitting metal that was coming from what sounded like off in the distance. And as we whipped around to see what made the noise, a large white bird that I think was a white owl flew over our heads silently, flapping its wings and disappearing behind a tree that was a good 25 feet behind us. Ooh, he said Mr. Melvin says when he was searching, something throwing rocks at me. Right. Oh, that sucks. And we all look at each other trying to make sense of what the hell we just heard and started walking briskly back towards civilization. And we heard what sounded like twigs snapping in the woods behind us. And my girlfriend and I turned around to see what made the noise. Peeking from behind the tree the owl just flew behind was what looked like an impossibly tall ghost white humanoid shape, with one hand on the tree trunk as it peered out from behind it. And before we could get a good look at its face, it quickly retreated back to behind the tree and out of our sight again. My girlfriend and I looked at each other panicked, and she opened her mouth to say something, and I told her, don't talk about it. We need to walk faster. My roommate looked at us confused and clearly scared by what I just said, so I told him we need to probably run home at this point, which we did. I've told a few people this story, and no one believes me. What I saw was not the owl that I had seen earlier. This being had a clear ghost white hand on the tree, a neck and an upper body, and it was tall, and I'd say like 7 feet at least, not tall enough to reach the branches of the tree, though. I wish I could have made out the face. It was just so dark, and the only reason I could see it was because of how white it was. Yikes. Yeah, I don't know. 7 foot tall is pretty tall for a pale crawler, though. But I don't know. How big do they get? Hell, I don't know. What did Mr. Melvin go on to say? Brent, holding you down and forcing you unwanted stories in your ear. Yeah. I'm trapping you here. You got to listen to all my nightmares as well, because I got the microphone. And that's the way it works here in the portal. He who has the microphone gets to create the memories. Okay, so he said, I happened to look, and it's a 3-foot creature, hooded, running about 30 or 40 miles an hour. Looked it up. It was a duende. Sure. Exact same thing, 3 foot tall, runs super fast. Yeah, I've heard several duende stories of how quickly they run, and it's shocking. Now, is it a duende, or is it a gnome, or is it a pukwudgie, or some other proto-pygmy? I don't know. But, yeah, that's really, really creepy. Throwing rocks, though, huh? That's kind of a crappy thing. I mean, if it was a Pukwudgie, it'd probably have been a little more aggressive than that. But that's kind of an aggressive thing. Maybe it was all out there alone. But it could have been a duende. You're right. That's really, really crazy. I mean, generally, I don't know that duende are normally aggressively going after people. But where was this from again? Was this Connecticut, you said? Yeah, Connecticut State Park, Mohegan State Park. Okay. Yeah. Did you ever figure out anything about what happened to the missing kid? Or is that kind of your, the way it ran was ridiculous. Never drank or smoked neither. And that was just a light experience. I couldn't catch it. Yeah, not at that speed. Nobody could have caught it. I was stunned to see something faster than me. 160 soar here, Fort Bragg. Yeah, that would be horrible. Did you run after it? Is that what you're saying? I'm wondering. Mr. Melvin, maybe you should be a guest on the podcast. You can tell your story. If you got any others, we can talk about it, but it's certainly an option. Just go to paranormalportal.net and you can be a guest on the podcast. Any of you out there that have stories, if you haven't stepped forward and come on the show, do it. I'd love to talk to you guys about what you've seen. That would be wonderful. But thanks for sharing it here in the chat, Mr. Melvin. That's really cool. Very wild story. I'd like to get a lot more of those kind of stories. Certainly, I love talking about Bigfoot and Dogman and stuff like that. Those are wonderful. But some of the other stuff out there is incredibly interesting to me. And I'd like to know what people are seeing. So if you've got stories about Bigfoot or Dogman, that's fine too. But if you've got stories about seeing little people or think you might have seen one, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, I couldn't catch it. Have many stories. I'm excited to share. Do you know about Dudleytown, Connecticut? Well, I'm about to shut down the show, so I don't want you to get into that now because there won't be enough time for you to finish it. But if you go to paranormalportal.net, just type that into your browser, hit enter, and there's a button on there that says Interview Me. And if you click that, it'll launch my scheduling app, and you can pick from days and times available, and I will connect with you via Zoom, and we'll record your experiences if you're game. So please think about it. No pressure, of course, but I'm always excited to talk to new experiencers. So please, by all means, get a hold of me. We'll have a chat. So anyway, that's about all we got time for tonight, folks. It is over, Miss Firejack. It goes quick, doesn't it? It's a time anomaly here in the portal, always. But I had a great journey with you guys. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the journey with me. But again, paranormalportal.net, as Rachel just put in the chat, that's where you find it. Remember, look for the link. If you don't remember the Magic Mind link, look in the description of the show below. You'll see it there. But again, go to www.magicmind.com/Jan, portaljan, PORTALJAN, and that'll bring you to the page where you can save 45% off. So it's a great opportunity. I know you guys are going to love it if you try it, but remember, if you don't like it, money back guarantee, 100 days. Why not? So anyway, that's it. That's all we got time for tonight. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. He's doing good, I think. I haven't heard from him for a while either, but I know he was really focusing on his family a lot, Big D. So just had some things that he had to attend to, and I got to hand it to him. He made the right choice, and you got to put family first, and he needed to focus all of his time on his family, and God bless him. And we love Don, and I'm sure he's watching when he can. So when you put those messages out there, I'm sure he's seeing them eventually. So, but yeah. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the show. That's all I got. I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me and being a part of the journey here on the Paranormal Portal. And I will be back as soon as I can be, which will be Friday nights, and we'll dive into it again. Sheldon should be here with me, I think. And so we'll get into more of it then. So have a great rest of your week. It is the downhill slump now, so enjoy the rest of the downhill. So hump day. You reach the hump, you're on the way down till the weekend. So take care, everybody. Remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody. Good night, Henry. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And that's all I got for you. Take care. See you guys soon.